I'm Morgan Doremus with RT Book Reviews, and I'm really excited today because it's not often that I get to speak with both an author and an editor at the same time about the writing process. But I have Allie and Krista here today, and from Harlequin, and they both work under the category imprints. And I was just wondering if we can get into a little bit about what that's like. Series stories are very different from other stories out there because there's a set length, there's also an imprint that you write within. So there is tropes that you use, and there's kind of, I don't want to say, it's not really a formula per se, but there is certain things that readers can expect from a series book. So can you maybe tell me a little bit from the Harlequin's point of view what you ask your authors to do?
Well, I mean, it's less editor driven in that I contract an author and I say, okay, don't do blah, 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 and blah. But otherwise, go ahead. They write this. We've seen the story's been written or it's been proposed. We say, I like it. Keep going. And generally speaking, when you have an author sending a submission to, say, Love Inspired or Harlequin American Romance, they've read them. You know, they are themselves a fan.
Or they should have read them.
Let me back up. They should have read them. But if you have not read them now. But it's generally they know the parameters and like them. I mean, there's a reason they're drawn to it.
And so from your point of view, when you sit down to write a love-inspired book, where do you start, and when exactly does Krista come into the editing process for you?
Well, it's different. The first time, obviously, that she would see my work, it's in a proposal stage. So there's sample chapters done, there's a synopsis and that kind of thing. And from that standpoint, I have a premise. I mean, I know the basic tenets of the story. I know the sample chapters give her the flavor of how I'm going to lay it out. If it's a first person, you'll see that in the sample chapters or whatever. Now, often we'll have conversations about, oh, I want to do, we were just having this conversation yesterday. I've done one book. If we do the next one, which characters we want, how would we want to go forward from that? But to the point about are there restrictions or whatever, it's usually the first thing people say to me. Oh, romances. Oh, they're formulaic. I have never felt that. I mean, I have certain guidelines that I need to stay within, but to me, in terms of category, what I know is there's no fat. I have to get straight to the story. I have to get straight to the relationship. I can have secondary characters, but they need to be done with a lighter hand. So it's not formulaic to me at all. I don't say, oh gosh, it's chapter 25 and they have an XYZ. That doesn't really happen. I mean, there's the basic sense of a story that every author has, but I have never, and I would say that I push every envelope I can. And that's the fun of it for me. How many different places can I go in that that box? But
it's like a sonnet.
I've never felt boxed in, ever. And it doesn't ever feel formulaic to me as a writer. I'm just taking a story.
It's the sort of constraints of genre fiction. I mean, if it's science fiction, you have science fiction components. If it's romance, they end up together at the end. You know, it's like, and if you don't want them to end up together at the end, that is not the book you should read. You should read Nicholas Sparks. You know, it's like,
and if they end up together at the beginning, then you have no story.
Yeah,
so,
exactly. Exactly.
You know you want them to be together, so you throw as many obstacles, and you think, how far can I take them apart and still get them together in a satisfying way at the end?